Connecting now. Stand by. You are live.
This meeting is being
What
recorded.
is up, everybody? Welcome to another live seven-figure MSP webcast for you guys today. We are doing some different stuff because not only are we here live on Zoom, but we are broadcasting around the world on our webinar, doing kind of a simulcast live audience on Zoom. Plus, we're going to have thousands watching on Facebook groups and Facebook pages and LinkedIn and YouTube and everything all over the place. So I'm super excited about this. My name is Chris Weiser, here to work with you guys today on how you can use cybersecurity sales to double your monthly recurring revenue in the next 12 months or less. Got a great webcast here for you guys today. Very excited about everything we're going to do. Got a couple housekeeping items that I'm going to do really quick. Then we're also, you guys got to stay until the end with me. We're going to give away $500 cash to 3 different people. Well, actually, it's $250, $150, and $100. So we got $500 cash total in prizes that we're going to be doing on today's webcast, but you got to stay all the way to the end with us to catch some of those cues. So a couple things for you with me today, and then I'll introduce my co-host, Cindy Phillips, and we'll go through that in a second. A couple things I have for you guys. So first of all, my promise to you, I'm going to show you exactly how to use cybersecurity risk assessments. We call those in seven-figure MSP world CSRAs. So you're going to hear us use the term CSRA. You might see it on our Facebook groups or some of our other stuff that we have, but that's what that means. How you can use CSRAs, note, not free network assessments, paid cybersecurity risk assessment engagements. This is a big shift and a big deal, okay? So how you can use those CSRAs to add thousands of dollars to your business, even if you're just a brand new MSP. This is really important stuff, okay? We're going to show you every single step of that. You're going to get some stuff from Chris showing you the why. Then you're going to go into Cindy Phillips showing you the how, okay? So we're going to show you how to use all of that to add hundreds of dollars per seat to your MSP offering. Again, even if you're a brand new MSP, you're going to learn the entire sales process that 500 plus MSPs and our seven-figure MSP Elite Inner Circle coaching program use to offer those CSRAs to double, triple, even more their MRR with existing and brand new clients, okay? You're going to learn how to use to take every single piece of this, put it into a tight process and a machine to turn those into seven-figure years, seven-figure months, seven-figure deals. Just because the name of our company is seven-figure MSP does not mean that it's only approaching that. Think about, have you had a seven-figure month? Have you had a seven-figure deal? Our members have had that. And if you guys stay with us until the end today, we're going to give away multiple prizes. We got one winner getting a $250 Amazon gift card. We got another winner getting a $150 Amazon gift card, and a third winner getting a $100 gift card. So $500 cash total that we're going to be giving away today. You have to be live with us and you have to enter our drawing. We're going to show you how to do that at the end. And then everyone on the webcast is going to have an opportunity to win a $50 Amazon gift card. This is exactly how we're going to do it. So this is a good example. This is our totally different process that we're going to be doing today. As you enter, it's going to populate into our wheel of names. We're going to spin that wheel live. We're going to give you a 2-minute countdown to enter your stuff, and we're going to spin that wheel live. It's going to be somewhere throughout the broadcast. You got to stay on with us and pay attention that we're going to open some of these things up and give you an opportunity to join. Speaking of paying attention, that means no tickets, no client calls. I know you guys that are MSP owners, you're sitting there with all this stuff, right? That means no distractions. If you're serious about changing your life, you're serious about changing your business, please give us time, give us attention. This is good stuff. We're not lying to you. We're not charging for this. In fact, we're paying you to be here, right? Cindy, we're doing that. So please give us your attention. We'd love to have you. And I'll introduce Cindy in just a second here. I'm so excited to see her, and we don't get to see, but I don't get to see you very much. So it's nice to see you on camera. If you guys don't know me, my name is Chris Weiser. Just like you guys, I was an MSP owner, started that MSP. Technically started my computer company in 2000. It was January of 2000 that I started my very first company. It was called Wisconsin PC. I was up in Milwaukee. Then I converted over to the MSP market in late 2004, 2005, and sold that MSP after that. But I started that MSP as a $0 or $0 one-person shop. A 0-person, I guess, probably qualifies a little bit better because I had no idea what I was doing. But I built that to over 200K of MRR using all of the basics that you're going to see today. And I sold that MSP in 2015, and I've since built a multi-million-dollar 8-figure MSP coaching firm called 7-Figure MSP. That's kind of what we were talking about today. So we got a lot of good things that we're going to show you today. Oh, by the way, speaking of seeing me on stage, we have our next big live event. We just came out of Nashville about 3 weeks ago. Nashville was absolutely amazing. It was called Amp Up Your MSP. But we're going to be doing a little bit more of a baseball theme in Chicago, Illinois that we're going to be. So we're going to be there August 15th, 16th, and 17th. August 15th is our pre-day. The 16th, we have our first full day combined with that night on the first night, the 16th, the first full day, I guess. We're going to be doing a Wrigley Field experience at the Wrigley View rooftop. So I'm super excited about that. Cindy and I Cindy, what'd you have in your hand right there?
Oh, yeah.
We base so much of what we do off playbooks and practicing and learning how to run the play. We have all these different things that we can do. What is that?
It's an official baseball.
Oh, okay. I was like, what are you showing us? Because it's blurry. I can't tell what it is. But we got some really cool things coming. We got that Wrigley Field experience. We got some great speakers. We have a special guest from the Chicago Bulls. We got all kinds of cool things coming. Some really great keynotes and a lot of good MSPs doing some different stuff along with me and the rest of our team doing our active 2.5-day training. So please try and come. In fact, if you purchase your general admission ticket today, so if you're paying attention on the broadcast, it's only going to be live while we're doing this broadcast. So if you purchase your ticket today, we'll give you an upgrade to VIP for free. So go onto the website. It's live.7figuremsp.com. At least bookmark it. It'll be up till midnight. I should have said that. I want you paying attention on this webinar. It'll be up till midnight. So either write that down or just copy and paste it or whatever off the screen. And then you can be there with us. GA today, if you buy your ticket, gets a free upgrade to VIP. So it's a $500 value on the coupon. Also, in our coaching program, we've added hundreds of thousands of dollars in new MRR for our clients using everything you see today as a baseline. Now, here's the thing. You can do all of this yourself. I'm never going to sit here and say, this is some genius stuff that only Chris and Cindy possess. We are an accelerant. That's what this is. Top to bottom, it is a massive accelerant. It's also an accountability program. I compare our coaching very similarly to I know how to work out. I know how to go to the gym. I know how to eat pretty well, but I still hire a 4-a-day-a-week at my house personal trainer. In fact, Claudia was here this morning with me. She's up my backside because I didn't eat good this weekend. Didn't eat well at all. Had a couple of beers. It is what it is. So I'm like back to, hammering my diet today. In fact, we've agreed to do a dry June, which I don't know if it's a great idea, but I'm doing that. But my point is, a lot of us know how to get there. We can go on YouTube, we can Google, we can do all these different things, but sometimes we need reinforcement. Sometimes we need acceleration. Sometimes we need that accountability that a business coach and a coaching program and a community can bring us. So we have all kinds of different things that we're going to show you today. Some case studies. In fact, we got Greg Bledsoe on the phone. Pay attention specifically to Greg Bledsoe because Greg is in Houston, Texas, here in the United States, just about 3 hours south of me. He's a great example. Here's a text he sent me about 2 months into our program. I think it was a little bit less than that actually, but there's a good example. He had first customer, 17 users paying $1,400 a month, signed a new deal for $3,750. Second customer, 25 users paying $3,000 a month, signed new deal for $6,250. So you see this stacking, this upgrade that he was working on. My target revenue is $40K. We're going to talk about in a little bit as I get through the end of this, what Greg is at now, and you'll see the difference. We also got Greg Mullen using the same thing, 36 months, $300 per seat. We got Charles Vandenhoven, 1,083 PC deal, 5-year deal. There's Rafi. All these guys are actively in the program. Here's Batch Alabi. There's one from Nick Stevens. Nick's been, and my point of bringing up Nick, look at the size of that deal. 278 users for $62,000 a month on a co-managed cybersecurity only plan. So this stuff works with the small guys all the way up to your big ones as well. And it's really important that you realize this is not about where you are. This is not about the market you're in. It's not about the country you're in. It's not about how long you've had clients. It's about showing them. In fact, Liam, 4C consulting firm, he's in Sydney, Australia. So we're doing this all over the place, guys. And it's totally doable. It's not some special secret sauce. I'm here to show you that you don't need tons of certs and crazy technical expertise. I know this is where we want to fall back on, but this is about sales. This is about management. It's about sales process. It's about figuring out what matters to your prospect and putting this in front of them using today's terms. We're going to talk through all of that today. So please pay attention. Please take notes. You can do all of this by focusing your time in the right areas and executing the right tasks you need to succeed. So I got a couple of questions for you while you're with us. I want to get your chat fingers ready here, either on Facebook or online, wherever you're at, or here on Zoom. We got our good guy, Ryan O'Hara, monitoring. He's not our good guy, actually. He's a bad person, but he works for us, so we'll deal with him. But anyway, he's cursing me out right now. But he's monitoring our online chats. And we've got people live with us here on the Zoom call. I want to know, does this sound like you? So think about this. Get your keyboards ready. You know you need to move from a traditional MSP selling tech support, break fix, project work, help desk, on-site labor, all those different things into a cybersecurity focused firm, but you have no idea how to do it. Ryan just commented, hey now, so I think he's hurt, by the way. But a couple guys said 100%. John Hansman, one of our clients, said he said not anymore. We got David Lovelace saying, yup. Got another guy that said kind of. So the bottom line, if that sounds like you, we're going to answer all of that for you today. Or maybe this sounds like you. You have clients on legacy contracts, agreements, whatever you want to call them, or even worse, handshake deals. The amount of MSPs that we run into that are still sitting here in mid-2023 on legacy handshake deals is crazy. And you have no idea how to get them to sign new ones. And here's a big factor with this. Does that sound like you? And I'm going to walk you through this in a second. Yeah, we got some of courses in there. Facebook got a face palm on that one. Somebody said face palm. But Chris, why would I need my clients on new contracts? Keep in mind, if they're already paying you, why do we need to change this? I want you to think about how important this is. Because insurance companies are coming to MSPs right now. We talked to Cindy, I was on onboarding this morning. We talked about this on onboarding because somebody on the call had this happen to them recently. They're coming to MSPs on their E&O or cybersecurity liability sign up and renewal, and they're mandating fully signed agreements with MSP liability removed and this is what came into play this morning, a full cyber stack in play. You had to have not only shown them that you have stated your liability and limited it, but you've also had to say, we've offered our full cybersecurity stack to all of our clients, and they've either said yes and they're on the stack or no, and they've signed off on their liability. Think about that. Good luck getting to your current clients to sign that without any incentive, because think about the relationship that you've had with your clients. I'll go into that in a few minutes here. Well, we have the answers for you here today. Over the next 60 to 90 minutes, Cindy and I are going to show you the keys to doing this, and more importantly, why they work. I'm going to start out with a little bit. Ooh, my watch is going crazy. I Googled that whole thing, by the way. I just saw that, everything I said. So I'm going to show you the why. Cindy's going to then show you the how. It's really important. We're going to show you how to pivot your MSP to deal with financial downturns, a pandemic, maybe a recession. And more importantly, how to go back to your existing clients, double, triple, maybe even more in the existing recurring revenue you're getting from them, and then using that same method to sell new prospects. And if you have doubts about all this, that's totally fine. I have no debate about that. We're going to have some live exercises that Cindy's going to do. We're also going to have a full Q&A when we're done. And we're going to show you some case studies. One of them is going to be Greg, that are going to show you how successful implementations of our plan go from around the globe. And remember this, just like I talked about with the trainer stuff, my trainer, Claudia, who is here this morning, as with any training or coaching you might use, Cindy and I could be the best in the world. Ryan's on the call. We got Amanda, we got Lindsay, we got our whole team here. We could be the best coaches in the world. And if you don't hold yourself accountable and if you don't execute, it's not going to matter. I have a trainer. If I refuse, if she walks out the door, even though I can work really hard, she walks out the door and I eat 15 Twinkies, drink a lot of beer, it's not going to matter. Stupid watch keeps on. Okay, fine. We're just taking this damn watch off. Use this entire information as a launch pad. And if you struggle with structure, if you struggle with holding yourself accountable, hire a coach. Cindy, something I did not mention, I wasn't going to mention on today, but I had my keynote that I did for our show in Nashville.
Right.
And during my keynote, I talked about how we're coming to the point where the trunk slammers are going to die soon. And I think that is such an important thing. And if you're sitting here right now and watching this, if any of this relates to you, related to those questions I asked, how important it is for you to do something now, how to get those clients on the new contracts, how to start positioning yourself as a cybersecurity first firm, you have to understand that the days of being a break fix or project based or even just a regular MSP are numbered now. And we had a little exercise that we did live. We said, okay, you guys are all sitting at tables, look to your left, look to your right. We got 3 MSPs. One of these 3 MSPs are going to be gone in the next 12 to 24 months. And it's not because you want to be gone. It's because you're forced to be gone because you can't compete. Really, really important stuff to think about. Okay. And my mindset for success as we go here, build solid process, which is what we're going to give you today. We're going to help you master the strategy, which means you go out and execute on your own. You execute. You're the one that goes out there. You execute like crazy until you can afford to scale. So get that MRR increased on your own without a lot of cost. That's what we're going to teach you how to do today. Then you start to delegate the pieces. Then you can recycle and repeat. So feel free to screenshot that one. Really important stuff. But before I get into my training today, I want to introduce my co-host with you guys today. This is the one, the only, the ravishing, the radiant Cindy Phillips. She's our head sales trainer here at 7-Figure MSP. So Cindy, why don't you give us a little intro?
Well, thank you, Chris. Thanks for that warm welcome. So I've been in the MSP space now, oh my God, I think maybe it's 10, 11 years. And before that, I built a $3 million consulting business for somebody else, ran a $45 billion product portfolio with 10,000 customers for somebody else, and went through and sold a lot of what I call intangibles to people. And in doing that, I learned a lot about how to have a conversation and structure a process that will help guide a client from where they are to where they want to be. And that's what I'm going to show you today. And I'm going to teach you everything about how that process works. So whether you have a brand new business or you're in the existing MSP, the process is the same. Back to you, Chris.
All right, thanks, Cindy. So I love the mindset of around the process is the same because we have a lot of people that come in. In fact, I got a question from one of our members today. It said, hey, I don't know how to handle the FTC safeguards. The process is the same. Everything we're going to show you guys today, it's the same exact process. It's just that the formula for delivery is a little bit different. That's it. But you're still following the same steps. So I don't care if it's FTC safeguards. I don't care if it's the SEC. I don't care if it's the new White House cybersecurity initiatives. Everything, all roads start with CSRA. Cindy will walk through that in a few minutes here, but everything starts the same. And that's why it's stable. That's why it works. It's a process from top to bottom. It's really important stuff. And it's really important to try and get rid of some of yours. Cindy calls this head trash. We got to take all of that garbage that's banging around up here, specifically the devil on your shoulder that's saying, I can't do this. This will never work. This isn't going to happen. Give it a shot. This worked for hundreds and hundreds of MSPs. We have over 100 millionaires that we've made in this program. And it's not just because we're touting numbers. We're making people really see the wealth and what they should be charging in their world. And that also doesn't mean that we're teaching people to rip people off. We're finally getting into a place where we're selling the right way. So when we start to talk about all this stuff, let's start to think about the entire managed services industry as a whole. It's at a crossroads. So what does this mean top to bottom? And I want you to think about how important this is. The MSP of today, mid-2023 right now, is nothing like the MSPs of the past. And if we think about what the MSP of the past used to be like, I want you to picture yourself. I was talking about my MSP from 2005. We were always, and it's not just you, I want you to think about also your client journey. We were always in this place. And most of you are still kind of there to where your client sees you only in their head as a break-fix IT provider, somebody that comes and installs new things when they need it, or maybe somebody to help keep their staff a little bit more efficient or at least working right with your help desk. And the only way that we've been able to actually close deals in this group is, obviously we get referrals and some of these different things that come in, but for the most part, what we're using as a sales method is the precious metals plans. Ryan O'Hara talks about the precious metals plans, the silver, gold, platinum, or the bronze, silver, and gold. There was all these different ones, but Ryan calls them the precious metals plans. And I love that mindset. And you think about where the precious metals plans came from. And it was literally us walking in the door to our prospects and saying, here's my stuff. It's all tool-based. I got a small, a medium, and a large, and I'm going to try and pitch it to you. And then people would have objections, or maybe even you had a large. Maybe like when I first started my MSP, I had one plan. And I was running into challenges of people wanting to maybe reduce what we have. So I said, okay, let's make it a little bit cheaper. And I was, hey, same guy. I did these silver, gold, and bronze plans, or the bronze, silver, and gold plans. And the decision-making factor on that, yes, it was the stack and the stuff that was there, but the whole decision-making factor was we created those plans because we needed the people to not object, because we could give them something cheaper. That was all it was about. It was about eliminating objections with price point. That's what the whole concept was. Not necessarily, and I'll give you a great example of this. Almost everyone that we run into, almost everyone on this call, is probably a pretty darn good MSP. You're probably a pretty good IT guy or gal, and you're doing a pretty good job. I'd say, Cindy, well, we run into less than 5% of crappy, probably less than 1% of all the MSPs I know are not great. Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody wants to be the best from a service point of view.
Correct. So the challenge that we run into, if I ask you guys, well, if you had unlimited IT budget, if you had unlimited budget at all your clients, would you give them a crappy plan or would you give them the best plan? Every MSP says, well, I'd give them the best. So why don't we? Well, they don't want to pay for it. Exactly my point. So we've allowed IT, because there was never a smoking gun, we've allowed the decision-making factors of technology, of support, of management, of risk management, all these things, the decision-making factor has become price. So what's happened to the entire MSP industry, and it's from top to bottom, has become this commoditized IT world. That's what it is, versus where you think where we're at now. Think about the opportunity that we have in front of us. We're in a place now where IT is becoming mandated. It's becoming something that's really, really important. We have clients that still don't see it that way, but you think about what happens if you're in the face of a client that gets breached, business email compromise, maybe not too many ransoms anymore, not too many lockups, but they're ransoming now to release the data is what they're doing. But the bottom line, it's dictating everything, and it's having to happen, and the MSP gets blamed. So IT is becoming an essential, but the way we sell has to evolve. This is really, really important because you have to change how you think. Cindy had a phenomenal onboarding call. Thank God I recorded it this morning. Had a really good, I was just on my game. Some days you do amazing and some days you don't do so great. Today I was on my game and I had a really good onboarding call this morning to where we were talking about how important it is to change your own mindset, that you have to realize here between, this 5-inch gap between our ears, maybe that's less than 5 inches, whatever, but that 5-inch gap between our ears, we have to be the ones that evolve because we have to drive what our clients are doing. And if you think about how critical that is, it's a mission critical scenario where we sit. So what happened? So why is it flipping from this IT as a commodity to this IT as essential world? So if you think about what's happened in this market, and it's not that the MSPs have really changed, it's that cyber attacks are changing everything. Over the last, I'd say 4 years, three and a half years since COVID started, I think really, and it's not that COVID made cybersecurity some big thing, it's that it accelerated it because all these people went home, everybody's trying to work from home. We saw a shift to remote work that usually takes roughly a decade. I think there was a lot of talk about this. This was like this decade-long shift that got encapsulated and accelerated into like a 2-month window, or maybe even a 30 to 60-day window to where everyone was going home. All these things were happening. People were desperate, and cyber attacks are massively up. The hackers got better. The tools increased. We now are seeing AI and some of these other factors out there. So not only is cyber attacks driving change, cyber insurance as a whole itself is under attack. So if you think about what that means and where we're at, we rewind 24 months, almost every claim was getting paid. People would have some type of an issue. It wasn't super prevalent. Almost all the cybersecurity claims were getting paid. Maybe the E&O claims were getting paid, right? That was happening. And now if we fast forward to now, cyber insurance is massively, I don't want to say more regulated, but it's more scrutinized is probably a better term. And we're in a place where that insurance itself has been massively limited because it's under attack and people aren't able to be as lazy anymore. And if you think about where we sit, sorry about my throat, let me just grab a drink of water here. It's tough to talk for hours at a time sometimes. I've been doing this all day today, so it's tough. But success in your business now, success in your managed service provider firm is much more than just being a good IT guy. If we rewind that same 24 months, you could get by with being very successful, with being the best IT guy. Now we're in this place where the IT matters, but having the discussion with your client about cybersecurity and reaching those conversations and having those other things are so critical because your role has evolved from just being the tech to you have to actually be a risk manager. Think about how important this is and what this means for you as the MSP owner. Anyone on this call, can you prevent all hacks? Had a guy last month on this call tell us that he could. And then by the end of the call, he was like, maybe I can't. But I want you to think about whether or not your clients are going to get hacked. We had Special Agent Andre Edwards from the FBI field office in Memphis and Nashville on our stage in Nashville last month. And one of the things that he talked about is you all have software you can't control. You all have buggy software. You know what that buggy software is? Cindy, you remember what he said?
The people.
The people. And unless you're taking the buggy people out, you can't do anything. Every single one of you, regardless of the tools that you have, you're going to have a client that gets breached, hacked, compromised, ransomed, whatever you want to call it. So it's very similar now to the hurricane is coming. We got to batten down the hatches. And I was talking to somebody last week that said, if there's a named storm, I didn't know this actually, if there's a named storm, you can't get hurricane insurance after that.
Right.
I didn't know that. Like I had no idea.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. Why? Because the insurance companies are saying, we're managing our risk. You're too much of a, you couldn't get hurricane insurance all the rest of the year or anytime there might be breakage. So we're not going to allow you to be negligent. It's exactly the same thing that's happening here. Your clients will get hacked. Your software is buggy. Your people is the software in that scenario. They will file an insurance claim because they're in a world, think about this, and Tom Wierzbowski and Art Gross from InSkyber and Willow Risk, good partners of ours, they actively talk about, they were just at our show in Nashville, they actively talk about the fact that they're going to get hacked, they can't do anything about it, and you have to be the ones that mitigate that mindset. They will file an insurance claim, the insurance company will investigate, and that liability will go somewhere. Insurance companies, in fact, Cindy, we have a person that is in our group. Her name's Melanie. I don't know if you know Melanie. She was on the onboarding call this morning. She's actually been on for the last couple of weeks. She's been actively talking about how she came from the insurance industry, and all the stuff we're talking about is 100% accurate. So you guys are going to be in the face of the hurricane, and you have to make sure that your clients aren't grossly negligent when faced with an insurance claim, and that you're not grossly negligent. Because if you allow the client to dictate the path, think about this, how many doctors want MFA? 0. We know better. We have to educate them about this entire thing, and you have to understand how critical it is for you to take this entire thing and put it on your shoulders and say, I have to own this. And I'm not saying own the risk. I'm not saying own the liability. I'm saying own the process that your clients are aware. They have, every single one of your clients has to understand there's anytime a named storm comes down the pike at us, we can't go batten down the hatches then. We have to be ready, and we have to show that we've done it already. We have to show that we were ready, doing the right things, thinking the right things, saying the right things. So when a bad day comes, we could say, yep, we did everything we could. Please pay our claim. Versus, oh, why didn't you put this in for your client? Well, they didn't want to pay for it. Did you present it to them? Oh, I guess I didn't. Sorry, Mr. MSP, you're at fault. That's what's happening. And if you think I'm wrong, just post a couple of things out there. So here's the deal. Unless you remove, I'll say that liability is being handed down, unless you remove that liability, actively have a conversation about it, put it in front of the prospect, put it in front of the existing client, you're going to own it. Because if you don't actively talk about it, it's your baby. Sorry, but that's the reality of it. And you got to think about that term that I just mentioned a few minutes ago. What does gross negligence mean for the MSP? Because if you don't talk about cybersecurity, they get hacked, it's your problem. They didn't want to pay for it is not a good enough excuse. They didn't want to turn on MFA is not a good enough excuse. You have to show that you presented to them. You have to show that you pitched them. You have to show that you did everything under the sun to get in front of them to talk about risk management. And we are shifting our role, going back to my conversation earlier about where does our job role sit versus just being a good tech now. It's we have to move into the risk management business now. And we have to make sure that we go out of our way to present to our prospect, and most importantly, our existing client, Mr. Client, you're going to get hacked. Here's our plan. If you're going to deny any service, that's fine. Here's my letter stating, in fact, we include a risk acceptance notification letter. Notice I didn't say an agreement. We include a risk acceptance notification letter or statement in our program that says you've declined coverage. Here's where you sit. When you get breached, here's how we're going to handle it. If you don't say all of that, who's going to be left holding the bag? I want you to all turn your fingers around and go like that because it's you. I want you to be aware of that. So I'm going to ask you, have I turned on your risk light bulb? The reason I call it the light bulb, I like cartoons. I'm a child, mostly mentally. Maria calls me a 7-year-old. That's Maria's one of our team members. She calls me a 7-year-old. Not far off, but when the character in the cartoon gets a bright idea, light bulb turns on, ding. Have I turned on your risk light bulb? Because you better understand this is where you sit. And you can deny that all you want. You can argue with me. We got guys that are arguing with me on Facebook every day, telling me I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm talking about. $300 a seat is a ripoff, blah, blah, blah. Have I turned on your risk light bulb, or are you still eating the risk sandwich? And I want you to be very, very mindful of that. This is really important stuff. And I want you to think how important it is and the whole way that we get to this process. So all the things we talked about here are really critical. And that's to get your mindset in the right spot. But how do we get to the next step? You heard me mention the crappy free network assessment earlier. Those days are gone. You cannot even think about doing this anymore. Why can't we think about doing the old crappy network assessment? I want you guys to throw this into the chat. I want you to throw this into the comment section on whatever medium you're watching. Type that in for me. Why? Why are the days of doing traditional risk assessments, or maybe even walking into the place and counting up how many PCs they have, and that's your assessment, or maybe even doing the basic network assessment? Why are those gone? John just said to me here, there's more to cybersecurity than just a network scan. Todd Thorson said, because a proper assessment is not counting the computers anymore. They take a long time to do it right. Thomas McClendon said, you have to know the risk that you're assuming. John had it said again here, without a layered approach, you're leaving holes open. Daniel Ramos, because it does not factor in all the entire environment. Jeff Applegate, too many vulnerable points. See my point, guys, you guys are getting it. As technical people, you all understand. But when it comes down to talking to a client, we run the other direction. It's hard. Like, I know it's a difficult thing. We have to change the 5-inch issue here. This is our variable that we have to evolve and we have to grow. And you cannot support these networks sight unseen. For so many years, we've allowed that to happen. We can't manage our own risk without doing a proper cybersecurity risk assessment engagement. My recommendation for all new prospects, a paid engagement. Note, guys, they're doing this already. I had somebody tell me a couple days ago, I can't talk to my client about money. But then at the same token, I said, well, if they have an insurance guy, any insurance salesman, and they ask, and they're like, well, they're going to give them that information immediately. Because that industry is used to delivering those services, right? We have to reframe how we think. We have to evolve. We have to grow. It's not just about being a tech. You as an owner has to change. It's really important. I've been sitting on this pulpit preaching for about 4 years now. Finally, we're starting to get somewhere to where people are listening. Because here's the deal. If you don't do that, you're going to be stuck with a charge of gross negligence. And you're in where you sit right now, mid-2023, you got 6 months left in the year. 6.5, I guess, give or take. You got 6 months left in the year. You have an opportunity to still go back to your clients, change the tune, evolve, grow, and think about what using a cybersecurity risk assessment as part of your sales process can do. So think about the current platform. What are you doing? What is your huge differentiator? And as I said, as we move forward here, that cybersecurity risk assessment becomes the jam. You can walk in the door to every existing client you have, do a cybersecurity risk assessment, present them their risk. Here, sir, ma'am, how do you want to manage this? Here's all your risk. I thought you were handling this. I understand that you thought this for a long time, but you know what? Times have changed. I have to do things differently than I've ever done them, which means you have to do things differently than we've ever done them. And I want to make sure that when the breach storm happens, that we're ready. I can't prevent anything, but you know what I can do? I can properly manage. I can do all those things. I can properly manage you, and I can make sure that we avoid the charge of gross negligence when the insurance company comes knocking. That's our why. It's so important. And think about how this positions you between your current situation, being just the break fix IT guy, the project IT guy, or maybe even just helping them be more efficient, to we're going to do our best. I can't prevent anything anymore. We're going to keep in mind, when have we ever said in this industry, best effort, do our best. I'll do what I can, because I have to check off boxes now to make sure that when the bad day happens, we get the insurance claim not only filed, but properly paid. That doesn't, and also another thing, Cindy, that came up this morning, had some really good questions from our new member attendees that attended this morning that said, okay, so if I do all this stuff, I'm just going to take on all this work. We're never saying that. That's like, and I gave a good comparison going back to the hurricane. That's like hiring a handyman to board up all your windows, and then the house gets destroyed and flooded away. It's not the handyman's job or responsibility to rebuild the house for free. But we get that because it's an industry that has been here forever, and we already understand that. But you know what it is? The handyman can get contracted later to build a new house. That's the path that we're going down. So it's a different mindset than we've ever had. And you got to understand how big of a deal this is. You are in a very unique opportunity position right now to where you can be on the front side and have these discussions before anyone else does. And they may shoo you out the window. They may probably shoo you out the door versus the window, but they may shoo you out the shop, right? We don't want to talk about it, but at least you had the conversation and that you're in their head as the first guy. We call that whole thing the shared bond of competence, top to bottom. And that's you guys there, not the minion for the company, not letting the client dictate the path of support, but it's that shared bond. I'll do my work. I'll share in some of this. You have to give me budget. We have to work together on this, Mr. Client. That's it. Because you come all the way down to it. And if you can put that line in the sand, no longer is it you refuting the charge of gross negligence, but it falls back onto your client. And they can't sit there and say, well, why didn't you tell me about this? I literally tried. You told me this was overkill. You told me you didn't have budget for it. Here's the letter I gave you that stated all this. And then they can hold the bag versus it being you. And what the other big value of all this is, you can now charge them more money. You can have profitability. You can afford to hire the right staff. You can afford to put the right stack in, as opposed to being at the mercy of what your clients are paying you to hopefully you can afford those things. Trust me, I've been there and I know what you're dealing with. It's hard. I get it, but we have to go down this path to get to the next step. So think about how critical that cybersecurity risk assessment is versus either no assessment at all or the free network assessment, which actually is almost worse than the no network assessment at all, in my opinion, because you're starting a relationship based on free. And we start with all these different pieces and we make sure that they have all of the ammo. And we make sure that they're seeing not only the network scan, which is what we used to do, along with data scan, along with our dark web scan, our SaaS scan, all of our fake phishing and user behavioral testing. Cindy's going to get into all that stuff, but it's important to do all of those things. And we have to lead the client to a place where they absolutely know in their head, they need this. The hurricane's coming. We don't care how much we batten down the hatches and board up the windows and the doors and all this stuff. We have to be in a place where we know we have to have it because we have to manage our risk. And when they know that, when that risk light bulb is on, when the end user, when their risk light bulb is bright, really bright, that light is as bright as it can get, that need is what minimizes or reduces or even maybe eliminates that price objection. They do it all the time in their life. I got my little dog laying back here, passed out. This brown one right here, that dog, I'm about 15 grand into that dog in surgeries because she had a splenic tumor, a tumor on her spleen a couple of years ago. We took the dog, dog was acting all weird, wouldn't eat. That dog eats everything. Took her into the vet. She said, that's well, your dog had a tumor on her spleen and it ruptured. She's bleeding out internally. Do you want to put her down or do you want to save her? I can save her right now if we do it. Here's my credit card. I didn't have $15,000 budgeted for my dog, but need, emotion, reached the gap, killed my budget. Boom, immediately. That's the kind of concept we're talking about here. So you deal with that need by creating emotional touches, that shared bond of competence. This all matters. This is why you need a sales process. This is why you need structure, planning, practice is really key. And those emotions that we create accelerates those decisions and it removes the objections. And you free those emotions with rapport, trust, questions, and then making sure they understand that there's consequences to lack of action. We had Chris Voss on our stage a couple of weeks ago in Nashville. He presented a phenomenal question. We talked about our pivot question. How do you want to manage your risk? And they talk about it. And then you ask them, what happens if you do nothing? That was his intake. And man, Cindy, we loved that one so much. So we put it into our sales process, but such a critical piece. I want you guys to think about that. Those true motivations are wrapped in emotion. All right, I'm going to hand it over to Cindy for a little bit. Cindy, I'm going to go to the restroom really quick. I'll be right back, but I'll let you keep going.
Okay. All right. So you've got the why, right? That's really the deal. Now, in the questions that have been going through, I want you guys to know I've been watching the questions very closely. And someone asked, well, what tool do you use? We'll come to that in just a minute. But for now, I want you to lay aside your tool questions because we're not hooked up on the tool. We want to hook up and we want to dig into the process. What's the process we use? So let me make sure I can advance the slides. So we're going to get into the why it works from a, what's going on. And cybersecurity is absolutely the wedge issue. And because it's the wedge issue, it's changing everything. So I'm going to ask you a few questions and let's see, I think this time I've got poll questions to use, but just so I can get to know you and your business a little bit better, the first thing I'd like to know is how many clients do you currently have? Less than 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, more than 30. And I'll share with you why I'm asking that question. It turns out that when you embark on a proposed change like this, changing how you fundamentally do business, the number of your clients matter. For some of you that have less than 10 clients, you're looking to acquire clients, right? Potentially, unless you're a true boutique shop with big MRR and just a few clients. If you've got a broader range of clients, then you might be asking yourself the question, how long is this going to take? And is it really worth it to put the effort into it? And so that's what I want to help you understand is what the payoff is for you when you make this change, because it's a potentially very large payoff depending on how you're doing things in your business right now. So just so everybody can see the results and understand what they were, about a third of our audience has a very small number of clients, less than 10, and half of our audience has somewhere between 11 and 30 clients, and 11% of our audience has more than 30. So that's in terms of how many clients we've got. So thank you for giving me that information. That really helps. Very, very, very helpful to actually know that. So the cybersecurity risk that we're dealing with is here to stay. Just recently did some research for the folks inside of our program. For those of you that know me personally, you know I love research. And here's the deal. Over 10% of the US businesses in the US have been attacked in the last 5 years. That comes from the FBI. That comes from their ics.gov site. And what that means is those are just the people who are reporting the attacks. We know that a lot more people get attacked than report, right? And that's why you should feel confident in knowing that the insurance companies are putting the squeeze on paying out on claims because the number of attacks have gone up so much. So in addition, the money that's been hijacked has gone up by 49% in the last year. Would you take a business with 49% growth? Most people would. That's why this is such an attractive business for criminals to get into. So the cybersecurity risk is here to stay. The financial payoff is here. And so what does that mean for you? What does that really mean for you? Well, it means a couple of things. First of all, you've got a real risk on the table. Depending on how many clients you've got, you got to ask yourself the question, do I feel lucky today? If you've got more than 30 clients, do you feel lucky today? Do you think one of them are going to get hit? I know you've got the IT lockdown. I know you've got the network lockdown, but you can't control the people that work at your end user businesses. You have no idea what the people are doing. And we all know that the attacks now are morphing, and they're more about social engineering. They're more about business email compromise and sending something that will get someone to not only send a wire one time, but the criminals now are looking to have repeatable monthly income. Let's see if I can get that account payable thing going every month to the wrong bank account. So the question is, do you want to make more money, or do you want to manage your risk? And you might be here today because you're thinking, hey, Cindy, I want to make more money, which is great. I love that. But you might also be thinking, you know what? I really need to manage my risk. So I want to ask you guys to type in the chat, which do you prefer? Do you want to make more money, or do you want to manage your risk? Which is it? What's really motivating you? Todd says both. Both. Okay, we got a lot of boths coming in here. Okay, this is awesome. Money. Oh, there we go. Ding my bell there. Money. Well, both. Yes, and I love that. Yes, and a fellow improv person there, right? So here's the thing. It's really a false choice, if you will, if you think you have to sacrifice one for the other. If you think that you can only make more money, but you can't manage the risk. No, you have to do both. And the reason you have to do both is because you have to protect your business as well. Okay. So when you go in and look at this opportunity, you look at the landscape, the problem landscape right now, it's changed. And so what this means is that when you come in to do a comprehensive cybersecurity risk assessment, it gives you the opportunity to reset the conversation so that you can manage the account with profit. So I just have a question for you guys in the chat. Profit. Are you getting enough? Are you getting enough profit right now in your business? And here's what happens when you start to run an IT services business. How many times have you said to a client, I've got that, we'll take care of that, no problem, we'll just add that in, right? We're almost all universally people pleasers in this industry. But what happens over time as you say, oh, I'll just add that in. Oh, that's no problem. I can take care of that. I got you. That's my favorite one. I got you. What happens to your profit margin when you start doing that? You start chipping away at it. And then 3, 5, 10 years down the line, after you've been running your business, where are you? You're stretched thin. You don't have enough resources. You're overworked. You're tired. And you're asking yourself, how did I get in this mess? So when you change your sales process, you have the opportunity to reset the clock, to start things over and do both of these things with profit. And I've had a lot of people ask me when they come to onboarding or in this call, actually, they'll say, well, can you add a bunch of tools to your stack and do it and make profit? I don't think you can. And I'm going to tell you that, yes, you can. And the thing that changes the equation is the shared bond of competence. The thing that changes the equation is when you refuse to do what does not serve you well any longer. Okay? So if you're not making enough profit, then what we have to say to ourselves is, are we having the proper conversation with our prospect? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make it a little uncomfortable for everybody, but that's okay because we're all together, right? Being uncomfortable a little bit. I want to find out how well you actually understand your prospect, okay? So what I want you to do in your mind's eye, I want you to put the last prospect that you spoke to, okay? I don't care if it's a current client you're trying to upgrade or if it's someone new that you're chasing. I want you to fix your mind on one client, one customer, right? And now I want to ask you to prove that you understand your prospect, okay? First question. Last month, my prospect made this much money, top line revenue. So for example, if you're going out and calling on a $2 million firm, they're making $165,000 a month. So tell me in the chat right now, that client you just went to see, how much money did that client's business generate in a month? Pop me some numbers into the chat. Ooh, David, I love that number, 1.5 million pounds. I'm loving that. $40,000 from Devin. No idea, no idea, no idea. So no idea is actually a normal answer for at this point in our evolution, in our sales methodology, right? Now, here's why it's so important. If you don't know how much money they're making, you don't know what's at risk, right? So let's ask another question, okay? How much cyber risk does your client have, right? How much cyber risk does your client have? This one that you have in your mind's eye. Maybe it's a dentist's office, or maybe it's a small manufacturing firm, or maybe it's a marketing agency. How much cyber risk do they have? How much would it cost, right? How much is that? Do you have any idea? Oh, very high. Okay, that's great. Very high is very good. A number would be very helpful, right? The thing about whether or not they have cyber insurance is because cyber insurance is not going to save you. So we're going to have to read those cyber insurance exclusions really carefully, right? David Smith, I'm loving it, man. In excess of $4 million. Awesome. Davies has got 100K. Awesome. Real numbers are our friend. Okay. I know my numbers. You should know your numbers. Now, next question. My fee is this percent of the prospect's revenue, right? So I want you to take your fee, David Smith, take your fee and divide it by $1.5 million, or 5 million pounds. You have 1.5 million pounds for the annual revenue. Take your fee, divide by 1.5 million pounds, and tell me what your fee is as a percentage of the prospect's revenue. Okay? You see what I'm doing here? Put in what your fee is divided by the prospect's revenue for that month. Oh, hell yes, it's interesting. You know why it's interesting. I want you to do the actual math because it's an intellectual exercise until you do the math. When you do the math, it's going to be a punch in the gut. Oh, yes, David Smith, exactly. Yes, 0.02%. That means you're not even clipping 1%. You know what a reasonable IT budget is for a firm that's making 1.5 million pounds a month? 3 to 6%, closer to 6% than 3. Think about that, right? And Corey, you just asked the most brilliant question. You said, how do we know what our client is making? You ask them during the cybersecurity risk assessment. And that, my friends, is one of the big keys, because when you do a professional paid for engagement with a predefined set of questions that get asked at every level in the organization, what happens is the clients open the kimono, they share real numbers just like they do with their insurance agent, but they share those real numbers because it's a paid for fee-based engagement, right? Makes all the difference in the world. Okay. Now, I have a small bone to pick about an MSP probably taking 20 to 30% of the overall IT budget. That's something I'm willing to debate in a separate call. But the point is, when you look at the risk and you say, okay, now let me look at my fee as a percentage of the cyber risk, look at that. And then tell me that you're charging your clients too much money today, because I don't believe it. I believe that you have been encouraged to chase a commodity market on a set of flawed business premises. And when you change the basic premise of how you operate your business, it opens up an entirely different landscape of possibility. And that's what this sales process is all about. Ask yourself this question. My fee helps protect the average daily bank balance of how much that client has available to them. And the reason I'm starting off with all these questions about money is because money and the flow of money is the lifeblood of every business.
Also a common language, right?
Exactly. And when you go and talk to a business owner, if they don't know their numbers, do you really want them as an account? You want to deal with shared bond of confidence. You want to deal with people who know what's going on. And so now I want to ask you a very serious question, which is, what is your gross margin on deals? What do you shoot for on your gross margin on deals? And while folks are typing that in, right, and trying to figure out, well, what is my gross margin? First thing I'll say is you should know what your gross margin is like that on all your deals, because you should have a minimum gross margin for all deals. So all deals should hit a certain amount. Daniel and Jeff have wonderful numbers, 60, 70%. This is great, 65%, right? These are all great numbers. 80% is a great number as well. That's what we train to. Take your cost, multiply by 5. Okay? We get that. And the reason that works to do that is because it gives you cash flow coming into your business that allows you to make very considered investments in how you want to grow and scale your business, and it makes your business strong. Now, a little while ago, Chris told you, basically look to your left, look to your right. In 24 months, one of those two business owners or you is going to be gone, right? And the reason is because our entire industry is being squeezed like a vice. On one side of the vice, it's the cyber hackers. On the other side of the vice, it's the insurance companies. And for the poor souls who don't recognize that they have to uplift their fees to accommodate for this changing environment, anybody who's chasing the commodity deal, you're going to get squeezed out. That's how it's going to happen. So How do we solve this problem? How do we get our net margin where it needs to be? And I'll just ask you, with the gross margins you've got, what is your net margin? And the reason this is important is because when I talked about that vice that is squeezing down on the MSP business owner, how many of you have gotten your latest bid on what your cyber insurance is going to be in 2023 into 2024?
So
How
I
many?
have a quick question for you.
Yeah,
You have the number that we just asked about the gross profit margin and the net profit margin.
right.
Now, here's a factor that I want you guys to think about. That may be what you're sitting at now, but if you said to yourself, what is my gross profit margin selling the stack I know I should be selling? Are those numbers the same? Because what I've run into across the board with MSP prospects is they've let the clients dictate the path. So their stacks that they have into all these clients, number one, they're varied. They're all over the place, not standard, the stack should be the stack now. Like it should be, I don't care if you got a client for $5 a month or a client for $500 a month, you should be putting in the same stack because it's CYA time, right? That's the concept you have to understand. So looking at that static stack, like if I had my dream stack, what would my profit margin be?
Yeah. So nobody typed in a net margin number, just to let you guys know. So if you want to type that in, go right ahead.
You know what that means?
That means nobody wants to talk about it.
Or they don't know.
Yeah, one of the two, right?
Yep.
And so I just want to throw out one idea for you. When people collect up net margin numbers in our industry, a lot of times they're getting those numbers from people who are chasing commodity business. Imagine what your net profit or your net margin numbers look like when you price appropriately. When you price appropriately, right? Okay, so let's go and ask the question, how many of your clients will be breached? I think we pretty much all know the answer to that, right? Nobody's safe. How many of your clients will sue you when insurance gets involved? Now, here's the example I want to use. I'm sure this has happened to somebody besides me, but have you ever backed out of a parking spot in the grocery parking lot and got hit by somebody? That happens all the time. Everybody's friendly when we first get out. Oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Yeah, everything's okay. Until somebody says, can you bring me your insurance card? Right? As soon as we get the insurance people involved, what happens? Nobody's friends anymore because we've got third parties in there who have an agenda. And what's the insurance company's agenda? Not paying the claim. So let me ask you this. Is your risk light bulb on? Is your risk light bulb on? Do you get why it's different now? Is it making sense? Is your risk light bulb on? Daniel says yes. Thank you, Daniel. I appreciate that. Okay, so let's see how we pivot. What do we do differently? And let's finally go on this, right? Let's finally go. All right. So when we use the mindset that Chris talked about earlier, I want you to remember you're no longer in the IT support business. What should your services cost? Okay. What should your services cost? And you can type that into the chat if you feel like it. What should your cost be? What should service cost, right? What should it cost per seat or per person? What should it cost, right? Yeah, using it as a percentage of risk exposure to the client. Interesting idea. Interesting idea. Jason's like making my day here, right? It's definitely not what we see in our system, which is like $68 when people come in, $68 a seat. So when you turn on your risk light bulb and the business owner's risk light bulb, everybody's operating in alignment, right? Everybody understands why we have to do things differently than we've done things in the past. So now what I want to do is bring you an exercise. I want you to take your total monthly contract revenue, that's your MRR, and I want you to divide it by the number of seats that you manage or the number of endpoints in your RMM. So it's MRR divided by number of endpoints in your RMM. Okay, I want you to do that calculation for me. Okay, so I want you to do that calculation. Okay, because that's going to tell you what your dollars per seat is. When you come to onboarding, we do this calculation on the first day you're with me, and I can tell you exactly how you sell today based on that number, right? Then what we do is we take half of the seats in your endpoints, because not everybody's going to upgrade, but we add $100 per seat. So I'll give you an example. You have 400 seats, cut that in half. 200 times 100 dollars per seat, that's going to give you a $20,000 MRR upgrade goal. And that's what you should be able to do in the first 180 days with 7-figure MSP. And let me show you how you're going to get it. Because as Chris always says, cash flow solves all problems. So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to get you out of eating the risk sandwich. And we're going to teach you how to pivot this. And we call it running the play. Okay. And Chris and I both love baseball. I use baseball as an analogy. We're going to run the play. So here's what we do. First, you got a first call, first time appointment. You find out whether or not you want to even pursue things with this prospect. Second, you do a discovery call. In the discovery call, you do about 40 minutes worth of Q&A with them, and you're able to answer the question, do I want to do business with them? Yes. Okay, what's my next step? All roads lead to a cybersecurity risk assessment. So you let them know that. Cybersecurity risk assessments are fee-based. You let them know that. If they'd like to proceed with you, then they sign the contract to get a cybersecurity risk assessment, and you go in there, and what happens when you do that cybersecurity risk assessment? You're able to understand exactly what kind of risk we're talking about. And that helps you set an appropriate price. It helps you set an appropriate stack and make sure you cover all the bases you need to cover for that client. Cybersecurity risk assessment is the first step in building that shared bond of confidence. Now, when you gather the facts about what's going on in their business, you collect that information and you take it to them in a risk management conversation. You ask them what they'd like to do about it. And based on their response, they're either going to move forward with service with you, or they're going to put their head in the sand. Either way, not a problem, right? You have a process that you follow every single time without fail. And what happens on the backside of this is, in your first call, you're going to build some level of trust. They're going to realize you're not crazy. They're not crazy. Maybe we got some things in common. We should talk more. Then when you do that discovery call, you're going to find out what's broken. Where is their pain, right? And when you ask them to buy a cybersecurity risk assessment, they're going to say to you, well, just shoot me a price. I'm sorry, we don't do that. Why don't you do that? Because you're competent. That's why, right? Would you trust a number I just throw at you when I don't even know what's going on in your business? How do you trust that? Oh, everybody's the same. I've been doing this for so long, I already know what it should be. I beg to differ. Things have changed, and you're in that vice, man. You have no idea what you're stepping into. And we dig deep. We do not skip steps, and we use more than one tool. And I want to go back to a question someone had earlier, which is, what tool do we use? There's not one tool. It's what process do we use, right? And when we use a process, from time to time, we pull a tool out, we put a better tool in. It's about the process and what risks are we analyzing and trying to cover, right? And we pivot the conversation so that they understand that the client is taking the risk, the client owns the risk, and the client gets the rewards for being in business. And we help keep their business as safe as possible. So that's how the CSRA fits into an overall MSP sales cycle. So give me a thumbs up, or give me, how about this? Just give me a hell yeah in the chat if that is making sense to you, right? If those steps make sense Let me know. Oh, yeah, David. Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. There we go. Now, when we do this every single time, what do you think happens when you do this every single time without fail? It's like playing baseball. It's seriously like playing baseball. You ever see somebody get up in the major leagues and not know what to do when they get to the plate? What happens when the batter gets to the plate? They put their hands together, they choke up, they pull up their elbows, they look at the ball, maybe they scratch their little foot. I don't know, but they have a process that they use. And baseball players are very superstitious. They do the same thing every time because they know it's a numbers game, right? I'm going to get up there, I'm going to do the same thing every single time. So that's what I'm suggesting you need to do in your sales process. Now, when we dive inside what's in a cybersecurity risk assessment, this is a screenshot you want to take a picture of, right? And here's why. It's more than a network scan. So the first thing we do is we set up what I call an executive sponsor meeting. You get the people in the room who are the decision makers, and they're involved in doing the work, okay? Now, here's what happens when you have people involved in doing the work. They have ownership of the results. You leave them out, they got plausible deniability. I don't know anything about that. You get them involved in the work, and it's like, oh my God, I'm part of this, right? Makes all the difference in the world. We do a security policy interview. What policies and procedures are they using? You and I both know the answer to that is pretty much a big O zero, right? Get it documented. What's their physical environment like? Are they propping doors open, right? Are they writing passwords on the bottom of laptops? We've seen that. Then do the network review. You know how to do that. Data review. Are you using a tool to scan for PII or PHI? Intellectual property. Where is their intellectual property stored? Now, this one is super important. There's a whole list of really awesome pieces of information inside every business. And we just recently had one of our members in the Dallas-Fort Worth area report to us that a construction company paid $8 million to a well-known and highly regarded criminal enterprise who had gotten inside their business and knew enough about them to know exactly how much money they could raise in a short period of time. They went out on the open market with all their data, found 3 competitors to bid for that data, and then went back to the firm that they stole from and said, you got a choice. Either you pay up or we're selling to your competitors. $8 million. This is why you don't want to skip the intellectual property review. Okay? You also want to review the users and the systems they use because you want to be able to answer some very fundamental questions about the people and how they operate. You also want to know if they've been involved in dark web breaches because you want to know if they're in the game. And we know the answer to that. Everybody's in the game. And then you also want to do a team behavior test. Now, you might call that phishing. I might call it a little bit more than phishing because we want to know what the people do when faced in certain situations. When we do this, we do not skip steps. Now, you might be looking at this and you might be saying, Cindy, this is an awful lot of work. I don't want to do this for free. Exactly. It's a huge amount of work. We do not do it for free. And we don't start the work until they pay for the work to be done, right? So we don't skip steps. So the big question is, how are you managing your risk? How do you want to manage that risk? That's the question, not only for you, but for the end user client. And when we ask these questions, it changes what happens. It changes from going from, say, an average of $68 a seat to over $300 a seat when we run the same play every time. It gives you an opportunity to manage the risk in your own business. It definitely puts your clients on a better footing than companies out there that are not taking any action. We run the same play every time, and we have a playbook for this. It makes a difference. When you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you always got. And I understand that this is a moment of great change for everyone in the industry, because that squeeze that's going on between the hackers on one side and the insurance agents on the insurance companies on the other side is happening. It's not the only squeeze that's going on. Tool costs are going up. Labor costs are going up. So when faced with all of this change, you have to ask yourself the question: is how I've been doing business in the past going to lead me to where I want to go? Or do I need to do something different? So Chris, back to you.
All right, great. So a couple things I want you guys to really think about with this. I was talking about a lot about the why, making sure you understand how important that risk light bulb is, making sure you realize that this is an important piece. Far too often do I see people say, yeah, they come on this webinar, they come to our live events, they see us at our lunch and learns, they do all this other stuff that we're doing, and they're 100% in, and then they go back to their business and they do the same stuff they've been doing. And I'm going to step back up one slide, because do what you always did, get what you always got could never be more true than it is in today's MSP market. You do not have to listen to me. You do not have to listen to Cindy, but you need to do something, because I'm going to tell you right now that look to your left, look to your right, MSP concept. We're not joking about that. It's just a matter of time. Had a guy, actually, Cindy, this just happened today. Had a guy message me this morning, said, I want to try and post in your Facebook group about selling my MSP. And he said, how do I value that? And I said, well, let's talk about where do you sit? I said, what's your MRR look like? What's your cybersecurity stack? He's like, we're a traditional break fix MSP. We have mostly project work, no contracts. We do about 2.5 to 3 million in revenue. And I said, how much are you in the business? And he said, specifically, I am very much in the business. I am the main tech. And I said, how much do you want to be in the business when you sell it? He's like, I want to walk away. I said, well, then don't expect very much, because all those things matter. So you have to think about doing the right positions. I was fortunate enough to sell my MSP when I did, and I got a good multiple. And all of that was because I was doing the right things while I didn't have to. And then somebody walked up to me to buy. So the same concept should happen here. You're doing the right things. We're not even talking about selling or buying right now. I'm specifically saying, related to cybersecurity, you have to make sure you're doing the right things, because when they get breached, you have to be ready for that. Really important stuff. So I want you to think about whether you're prepared, both yourself on the business side, but also on the intellectual property protecting yourself side. Do you have cybersecurity insurance? Have a lot of people that talk to us about this. Not only do you need this for your own company if you get hacked internally, but you need liability insurance if one of your clients get hacked. You should have roughly a ballpark of a $2 million policy, but you need to find a local agent to work with on that. We mentioned Willow Risk and Skyber. There's TechRug. There's a couple of other different companies, Cysurance as well, that are out there. Take a look at them and have your business looked at. You need to make sure you have those things in place. You also have to make sure every single client that is in your stable, break fix, project work, all the way down to your managed agreements, have to have solid contractual agreements in place. That includes the ones that are not doing your full cybersecurity stack. You need to have a risk acceptance notification letter, present to them, talk about the cybersecurity risk assessment. We use that as a wedge to upsell them into coverage using those emotions and all the things that we talked about earlier. But you need to make sure that those things are in place. That's really critical. The amount of MSPs that I talk to every single week, that our sales team talks to every single week, that has agreements or that are bad or no agreements, sitting handshake deals sitting out there, and they're freaking out because they're like, I'm just hoping and praying that I don't have a breach in front of me. Hopes and prayers don't get real far in real world. I don't think you can deposit those hopes, and that hope and praying doesn't work. You also have to make sure, and a lot of people ask me, Chris, you're telling me that I can put all this, I can offer unlimited service and also offer unlimited help desk and on-site service and all this other stuff. You can control all the variables with an SLO. Oftentimes known as an SLA, service level agreement. I prefer SLO, service level objective, because objectives are best effort versus You have to give something back if you don't make it, or there's agreements back and forth. I prefer an objective. You also have to make sure, just as I mentioned a minute ago, you have your risk acceptance notification statement in play. You can't give that unless you're doing an assessment for everyone. So make sure you put that in play and let them know. Now, I know that's hard, but we have an entire process for that top to bottom, along with proper incident response planning, proper incident tabletop exercises. Again, we had Special Agent Andre Edwards from the FBI on our stage a couple of weeks ago. And some of the stuff that Andre was telling us is mind-blowing in terms of getting the FBI to respond, getting them involved. Here's the thing I'm going to tell you. If you have a breach that goes beyond 72 hours, money's gone. You're never getting it back. And you better be able to prove that you did everything you could to help your client be protected, or you're going to be the one left holding the bag. That includes an incident response plan. All these things here need to be in your arsenal. Okay. Really quick on this. If anybody has any questions that you want us to answer, please, that are live on Zoom, please put it in the Q&A. If you're watching live on any of the other mediums, please put a comment in and we'll answer these questions as we get to our Q&A section in a few minutes here. Actually, I think it's right here. I forgot it's the next slide here. So I think we had all of our questions that we had answered. Cindy, did you see anything else that we needed to answer?
They're all answered, Chris.
Okay, great. Okay, and yes, Aviad asked how long this is for. This is a 90 to 120 minute webcast is how long this is. Okay, just so you guys know, that's how it always is on our backside. Okay, gonna keep going on this. So one of the things I want you guys to remember using this system, the MSPs in our coaching program are doubling their MRR in 12 months or less. So they're using all the things that we have on all the different things that we're walking through, the systems that we're teaching them, and they're actively doubling their recurring revenue or more. A good example of this, Brett Gallant. Just talked to Brett this morning on our onboarding. He started our elite program June of 2021 at 22K MRR. Brett is currently at 98,000 of recurring revenue, just about to hit that 100K mark internally, but he's well over $1 million business, and he's cut his endpoint count by half and tripled his, actually that's more than that, 22 times 4. So he's over 4x now on Brett's side. Another good example, Bob Mitchie. I think Bob's on our webcast with yep, he's on our webcast with us today. Bob started, he's over double in his recurring revenue in Arizona. Mark Enzo, I just talked to Mark last week, Cindy. I don't know if you've talked to him at all, but he's in Tucson, Arizona, a market that we were told that we couldn't make this happen in because it's too much of a good old boys club. Started out at 98K MRR, currently at 225K MRR and above. So Mark's just killing it. Good job, buddy. That's awesome to see. Michael Young in Dallas, Texas, started at an elite program September of 2021 at 60K MRR, currently 110,000. Danny Taylor up in Canada, just talked to Don. In fact, Don was on onboarding this morning as well. Started as a break fix computer store, currently at 25,000 and growing, all 3 and 4 year deals. Greg Bledsoe, remember Greg, I mentioned him earlier, started our coaching program at 45,000 MRR. Cindy, do you have any new updates? Because I think all I have is 145K. I know you talk to Greg all the time.
The last time I talked to him, he told me 189. So that's where
okay, I got to update my numbers then because he's another 44,000 past what I had at 189,000 MRR, but over 150K of new MRR in the program that he's done selling our way. Howard is up in New York City at 218,000 MRR, along with Dan DeFay. You heard me mention Dan. He is our hole in the box guy. That is Dan himself right there. Started at 32K MRR, currently in 14 states as well. Also going to be at our Chicago event teaching on how he expanded his business to be a multi-site, multi-home business. So that's pretty cool. Dan's at 89,000 of MRR. So think about what the right community can do for your business. Our 7-figure MSP Inner Circle coaching program. This is our full sales and marketing coaching program to help you get to those 7-figure years, those 7-figure months, and those 7-figure deals. That's the concept that we're talking about here. So it includes our full sales and marketing coaching program, our full MSP sales top to bottom system with Chris, Cindy, and Ryan O'Hara. That also our 7-figure MSP marketing machine with Lindsay Badillo and her team. which includes both sales and marketing open office hours for both programs, sales and marketing, all inclusive. Like we were talking about, you get a founders call with me and Ryan every single week. Our sales process, you heard me mention our onboarding. Every Monday I'm live, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Cindy's live. We also have our marketing onboarding. Every month we do a brand new launch of our marketing machine, and we start that from scratch at the top. You have to graduate sales onboarding first to learn how to sell a different way. Then we open up our marketing coaching and you get inside of that, because you have to have cash and you have to have time to commit to marketing if you're going to do it right. That's why we do it that way. We also include a bunch of proposal, presentation, and agreement templates from top to bottom. So you get our full cybersecurity sales presentation. This is a PowerPoint that we update every quarter. You get our full cybersecurity sales proposal template in Word doc. Top one is a PowerPoint. Second one is a Word doc. You also get that risk acceptance letter template that I was mentioning earlier. That is a phenomenal tool. In fact, I believe somebody said on the call this morning that that tool itself is gold, because it really, really works so well. You also get our full MSP master service agreement and statement of work templates, along with our incident response template included. All of those agreement templates are included in the program, along with a risk assessment agreement template as well. I don't have that mentioned there, but all those things are there, along with discounted access into our high-level Ultimate MSP contract kit. You also get additional process structure and tools. We give you a bunch of new tools along with our Telev partnership that includes multiple risk assessment tools and automation to do an assessment using these tools, using multiple tools, which include ActiveFile, Cyber CNS, Nodeware, Lifecycle Insights, Breach Secure Now, Augment, SaaS Alerts. All those tools are included in the program in a 100-seat or so manner for you to actually go and do all your assessments with the tools included, and then a automation tool, which is the Telev Stack Driver. On top of that, on the marketing side, we include our full MSP CRM Wise Track with training and coaching, all kinds of marketing templates on our client newsletter. See what I'm talking about, guys? Like massive amounts of stuff, email nurture software, and our first time appointments as a service. What is the FTAS thing? It's first time appointments as a service. I can't even say that the right way if I try, but it's as you come into the program, you graduate sales coaching, you get into marketing coaching. Once you graduate our marketing coaching program, we open up our appointment booking service for you, which we are actively rolling right now in the United States, Canada, and Australia. So we're very, very excited about that as well. Really working well, very excited about that. You also get tons of vendor discounts and special offers, tons of stuff there, along with VIP seating that is a $997 value at our live events. Super stoked about that. In fact, just came out of Nashville, going to Chicago next in August. Very, very excited. So Chris, what's the next step? You guys saw all the things that we have included in our coaching program. This is just tip of the iceberg type stuff here. Total value on that is around $14,000. It's actually increased since then because I don't have the FTA as a service on top of that. So we're looking at probably about $16,000 a month in total service value on top of that. Some questions that we have. Now, this is a big factor. We have a lot of people that say, hey, we're a brand new MSP just starting out. We don't have cash. We don't have any things that we can do. We got a couple ways that we can finance this for you. But one thing I want to be very honest with you in this industry right now. If you were to come into MSP 3 years ago with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to start out break fix and grow my way up, probably could do it. As you sit in today's world, to start break fix and to roll your way up is going to be very challenging, because you better be doing cybersecurity across the board for everyone, which means you better have some type of a baseline of clients to work from, or you have to have some type of a nest egg to pull from. Most businesses, in fact, I'll give you an example. My wife and I are starting up a new business right now. We have a chunk of cash that we're putting into a bank account that we can pull from, that little nest egg that was planned. It was part of it. Most MSPs don't start that way. They never have. You have to start thinking that, and you have to start planning for that. My recommendation is a minimum of 6 months of survival money plus whatever it takes for the tools. So probably $50,000 to $75,000 in cash in a bank account. Cindy, disagree with any of that?
No, it's absolutely right.
Okay. Second part of that is you need to be an MSP or break fix IT services shop. Will I take a VoIP provider? Yes, if you're committed. Will I take a copier company? Yes, if you're committed. But you better be pushing towards these right things. And to see optimal results in our program, you should have at least $12,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Again, optimal, not mandated. We have a couple different options that we can work with you on. But the bottom line is, if you're going to see the results that we want you to see, we're going to expect you to see these types of things and you use these things. But most importantly, you're willing to set aside time for the growth, scale, and leverage of your business, not just work in IT all day. Okay, that's a big factor. Second thing, you have to be a nice person. You have to be a good human being to be in our program. We have a no jerk rule in this program. The only jerk we allow is Howard. Actually, that's true. That's Cindy, you can't even debate that. Howard's a jerk. We love him, but that he's a jerk. And you have to be very serious about working on your business versus being in it over the next 12 months and beyond. What I'm so proud of is that all of the members that we actively work with, the members that we see have success, they're growing, they're evolving, not as IT guys. That stuff's great. It's cool. It's really good. But they're growing as business owners. And the real tell I have on that, guys like Mark Enzor and a couple and Dan DeFay, they're expanding and using their same mindset to go into different verticals and picking up different business types, doing other things. They're becoming wealthy people. That doesn't mean rich. That means they're growing and evolving. Huge stuff. So I want you to think to yourself, are you a fit? Do you want to be around a like-minded group of people? Do you want to grow your MSP? How much have you grown it in the last year? How much new MRR have you added in the last year? You should be adding 3 to 5 to 10K per month every single month. This is what you should be doing. We're giving you a platform for that. We're giving you a system to do that. And it starts with your existing clients. I promise you that you're leaving over 50% of potential MRR on the table with your existing clients. So my special offer for you today, 12 months of our elite coaching program. That's our Inner Circle Elite coaching program. We have hundreds of members in this program. It's $1,750 per month. It is a minimum 12-month commit. We do have 24 and 36-month options available. So we do have opportunities for you to grow that or to be a little bit larger. It does reduce the price. So the $1,750 is a 12-month commit. The 24-month commit is $1,500 and the 36-month commit is $1,250. But you do have to commit and you do have to commit to the whole thing. That's part of the deal. And if you book your call from this webcast right now, I will include a 2-day virtual marketing machine bootcamp with me and Lindsay and Amanda. You saw Amanda a little bit earlier on the call if you guys were here. This will be live and streamed worldwide. It's a $5,000 value. And as a special bonus, if you book your call today, we'll do our white glove custom migration onto our CRM for whatever you have. So if you have no CRM, that's fine. Infusionsoft, Keep, HubSpot, ClickFunnels, whatever you got out there, will help you do that migration, and we'll do it completely free of charge for you as part of that bonus. That is another $1,997 value. Okay, so here's all that included elite stuff that we have. 14,000, and again, I'm gonna say it's closer to 16,000 on the value because I don't have the first time appointments as a service in there. Plus your bonus items, the elite program, our 2-day marketing machine bootcamp, and our WiseTrack migration. So your total value is about $14,000 a month with a $7,000 bonus on top of that. And as a special offer, here's your chance directly to meet with our team. So if you go to sevenfiguremsp.link, Ryan, if you can do me a favor and throw that in there, just make sure you put the HTTPS on there, please, because it's not listed on here, but throw that in there. Cindy got it already. You were golden, but it's sevenfiguremsp.link/VIP invite. You can book your time directly with Jose from our team. And if you book your team or book your call on this today and mention this on the call with Jose, we'll give you a $50 gift card. All you have to do is do that. So that's your chance to win that $50 gift card. A couple other things that I have, and Cindy, I think we got a couple of questions that came in here too. So I'll hit that in a few minutes here. Just give me a second and I'll hit those questions for you guys. A couple other quick things I have for you. I have 2 guarantees that are on top of this program. You get a lot of people that ask me about what guarantees do you have? So here you go. I got 2 of them. Guarantee number 1. Just to prove to you that me, Cindy, everybody that we work with, we believe in what we teach so much. We have a full 30-day money-back guarantee. If you participate, now here's the kicker. You're not going to buy, download all our stuff, and quit. That's not happening. If you participate in the work and attend all the calls in the first 30 days and you feel you'll see no ROI, it's just not worth it, it won't work in your market, I'll refund your money in full, no questions asked. There's no debate about that, but you got to come in and participate. It's really important. Guarantee number 2, continuing how much I believe in the program. This is real stuff. If you participate in the work and attend all the calls in the first 90 days, meaning that you come to onboarding, you go through the calls with me, you go through the call with Cindy, you do your CSRAs. And if you do not make at least $1,750 in additional new MRR, I'll write you a check for $1,750. For the record, neither of those guarantees I've never had to use, never had anybody ask. There's never been debate because the program is real and the program works. Cindy, any questions or comments on that?
No, I mean, it's very straightforward. You just get in and you do the work, right?
And John Hansman just sent us a message. It's the host and panelists, John, just so you know that. But he just sent us a message that said, don't skip steps. I did 15K his first month. That's true. John's still here. John's been killing it. John just brought his wife to our Nashville event. That was cool, buddy, by the way. That was awesome. Okay. And if you book your consult again from this webcast, I'll give you a $50 Amazon gift card just for fitting the call. And don't forget to come see me live. Okay. Here's your invite again. We're going to get ready to do our prizes. Going to answer a couple calls. Cindy, while I get this ready, can you answer a couple of those questions while I just get the prizes ready?
So the first question of Avid asked, do you train just the owner or my sales guys as well? Yes, we will train your sales guys. So Avid, if you have 100 sales guys, you need to call us because obviously we won't do 100 people, but if you've got 1 or 2, no problem. We train them as well. Highly recommend that. They would come to the calls just like you would. They would also get access to our portal and our materials so that they can also train on demand whenever they need to. So Jonathan Hudnall has a question, and he says, do you have any recommended tools or types of tools to start digging into doing the CSRA? So Jonathan, I'm going to kind of geek out here for a minute, and everybody's going to laugh because I'm not technical. So here's the thing. We don't really care what tool you use, but if you join the program, there's tools that are included in your membership. So you don't have to spend any extra money to get started. Okay. Yeah. So you're going to need a tool to help with tracking what you're doing and also, making some nice reports and things like that. And so, Chris, you mind if I go ahead and just list out the tools?
Yeah, I don't care. I did earlier. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So first thing you want to do is you want to go get Lifecycle Insights. They were just sold to ScalePad, but Lifecycle Insights, you want that tool. And if you're a member of our program, there are 2 special assessments in there just for our guys that help with the process. Second tool you're going to need is you're going to need a tool to scan the network. I don't care what tool you use. The 2 that are included in the program are number 1, I believe it's Nodeware.
Well, we got Nodeware and CyberCNS.
CyberCNS. Yep. Then you're going to need a tool to help figure out what's going on with the data. And we include ActiveFile. Then you're also going to need a tool that will help you figure out, has anybody ever had somebody say, oh, all my stuff's in the cloud, so I don't need security? Well, you're going to need a tool to help show people that stuff in the cloud is at risk. And that tool is called SaaS Alerts. Okay. So we've got Lifecycle Insights, we've got Nodeware or CyberCNS, we've got ActiveFile, we've got SaaS Alerts. Oh, you're also going to need a tool to do your dark web research and to also do your phishing. You can use any tool you want. There's 100 of them out there. We include Breach Secure Now. We've got really good success with that tool. So those are the 5 tools right off the bat that you're going to want to have, or tools that do those kinds of things, right? And there are multiple options out there. I don't care what tool you use.
Yep.
But you're going to need a process that goes with the tool, right? And make sure it works. So.
Okay, so we're going to get on to our prizes. I think we got a couple more things coming in the chat. You guys can hit that if you want. Give me a second on that. But here's what we're going to do for prizes today. So we got a little bit different way, and we got a lot of people watching. We're going to do this on our prizes. You can go to this URL, drawing.sevenfiguremsp.com. And I had my slides somehow backed up. I had my slides backwards. They were supposed to be. Now, while we wait for, there we go. While we wait for entries, let's go through a couple more of our questions. And I'm going to set this on a 2-minute timer really quick. And drawing.sevenfiguremsp.com is how you sign up. And Cindy, let's hit a couple more questions here.
Okay.
Cindy's got no more questions in the social, so we should be good.
I think we're done with the questions because I just answered the 2 of them. So we're pretty good on that.
All right, so we got our 2-minute timer going on. While we're doing that, what's one thing you learned on today? If you guys registered, what's one thing? I know we got a hand raise here, sir. That's raising your hand. I can't answer live, so you're gonna have to. I can't bring you on live, so you got to put that in either in the chat or you got to put that in the Q&A. Here's our timer going off here, so we're down to 1:24. But if you can, for me, what's one thing you learned today that's extra valuable? What can you actually take and put into your business? Don't hesitate to go to our drawing.sevenfiguremsp.com. Let's see, we got Jason here. Choke up the bat and follow a process every time. Consistency and standardization is key. Adam says, fear sells.
I don't know.
Todd said, doing nothing is a Todd. I really like that, buddy. Doing nothing is a choice.
Truly it is.
John said, security focused MSPs are becoming mandatory focus in now. Jay Budus says, risk costs money. We got 40 seconds left, guys. Fill out drawing.sevenfiguremsp.com. David Lovelace said, weigh your cost versus our annual revenue. Davey said, doing it over and over to get the result. Pedro said, risk is expensive. Don't forget, guys, we're going to draw from the drawing. We're going to do our wheel of names live here in a second. You got 20 seconds to enter your name. You show me that what I was doing so far was good, but not good enough and definitely not profitable enough. Now, here's something else I want to say, and I'm going to give you guys a few seconds to do this past this alarm that's going to go off in 5 seconds. Just because we're charging more money does not mean we're ripping people off. I want this to be very, very important in your head. There's a lot of people that have this mindset that, oh, I care so much, I want to give back, so I'm going to do this for free, or I'm going to do this for cheap, or I'm not going to charge people at all. You can't survive that way. Our world is based on money. Everything we do in our lives is based on money. And you have to understand that if you have more money, you can actually deliver better service. You can have better clients. You can do better things for them. We had Mike Michalowicz. In fact, I don't know if you guys see that Captain America shield behind me. Mike sent me that. Really cool gift. And one of the things that Mike said on stage was, if we charge properly, we can afford to bring the right clients in and do the right services for them, which makes us actually better people than doing it for them for free. Because people don't care if stuff's for free. It's really important.
And we can afford to hire the right people.
Yep, exactly. Some really good comments. Cindy, while I pull this together, you want to read the rest of these? I'm going to get this. We're going to stop our drawing here. So here we go on our prizes.
So Jay said, do not undervalue yourself. You'll starve to death. And David said that this is an investment and not an expense. That our IT cybersecurity service is an investment and not an expense. And that's a great one, David. And that was the last one we had, Chris.
Okay, I'm pulling this in right now. 1 second. I'm pulling in full name. So here we go. Okay, we got our winners here. I'm going to share my screen. New share. Here we go. Here's our wheel of names. Let me know if you can see that, Cindy.
I can. It looks good.
So first, we got a $100 gift card drawing we're going to do right now. Here's gift spin number 1.
This is looking good.
And we have David Smith is our winner. David, do me a favor. Send a message to info@sevenfiguremsp.com. If you're here live on Zoom, you can send it to hosts and panelists with your email address. There's David Smith. Gift number 2. This is going to go our $150 Amazon gift card. Gift number 2. Here we go. Spin number 2 coming in. Pretty cool. We did this live, guys. This is real stuff from people that are actively signed up. And we have Arben Nura is our winner. $150 Amazon gift card. If you guys are out of the United States, we will send you PayPal. Okay, so be mindful of that. And here comes our grand prize winner for today, our $250 Amazon gift card. Here we go, drawing number 3. Is David Lovelace. Congratulations, David. You guys that have won, do me a favor and send a message to info@sevenfiguremsp.com. And we will actively send you your prize. You can also send it here in the Zoom chat. If you're live with us, send it to hosts and panelists. Okay, David sent his. Love that. Thank you, David. The rest of you guys, Arben Nura and David Lovelace. There we go. David sent his. Arben, if you're live with us on Zoom, feel free to send that. We got one more question here from Joe Martinez that I'm going to hit really quick. Joe Martinez said, the industry has changed and it's our job to make clients and prospects understand that. Okay, that was just an answer to our thing. Thanks for that. Cindy, any final parting words from you today?
No, I would just say that this is about helping people keep their businesses as safe as possible, because the FBI, they've really underscored to me personally that the game has changed so much. And if we don't do something, the impact to the small business owner can be just devastating. So, you guys are out there every day helping to keep people and their businesses safe. And I salute you for doing that. And we just want you to be able to do more of that.
But what's crazy about that comment is so much of this now is people think they're actually helping other business owners by not charging them as much and maybe doing things for free. Think about how much you can't do and how much danger you're actually putting them in by not doing things the right way, which includes your cybersecurity risk assessments all the way to your services. All right. For Cindy Phillips, my name is Chris Weiser. You guys have a great day. Hopefully you enjoyed today's broadcast. I know we are just about 2 hours, so I appreciate your time so much. Please work on your business. If you need help, please hire a coach. We'd love to help you. You can see the link on the screen. We got your back. Even if you just want to talk to us and see what we can help you with on a strategy call, we'd love to help you. So we'll see you guys soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
The recording has stopped.
Okay, good to go. See you soon.